We are recording.
All right, this is awesome.
So I just want to start with a quick story about how we first met from my perspective, then we'll get into this.
Sounds
So
good.
I'm here with Mike Sahebi, somebody I train with, and I met Mike first. I want to say I was a few weeks into my training, and this guy I hadn't seen before comes in wearing a fresh gi and a bright white belt. And I'm like, okay, this guy looks athletic and stuff. And Coach Paul's there, and we get paired up. And he looks at Mike, who I didn't know his name was Mike at the time, and he says, "Don't kill him." And I'm like, what's going on here? Is this guy brand new? And I've been training for a few weeks. He's like, no, he's been training for a while. So how long have you been training? Like, how did you get into jiu-jitsu, and like, give me the whole backstory.
Okay, so I started around 11th grade in high school, so I was about 16, 17 at the time.
Okay.
It was actually my brother that got me into it, so he would always watch UFC fights, and he took me along one night to watch a fight. I was like, man, it's pretty cool. So I went to, at the time, they were at Dean University. Mm-hmm. So I did like a 2-week free trial, and I fell in love with it. So I did it for about 6 months, and then I had to go back to wrestling season in high school. So that's when I took a little bit of time off, came back. And then I trained up until, let's see, another year after that. And then I took a 4-year absence.
Okay.
Then I'll get into that in a little bit. So, and then I came back around 2015, and I've been training since. So I would say about 5 years total.
5 years total.
Yeah, 5 years total.
But you put the gi on 2 years ago.
Not even. It's 2
years ago, because that's when I started. Like,
it was like March.
Yeah, okay.
March of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, so I put the gi on March of 2018. I was always a no-gi guy, strictly no-gi. I don't know why I never put on the gi. It's just, I guess the grips never really interested me.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? And then Jim Andrews, he introduced me to the gi. He's like, here. I came in one day. He had like a lime green gi. He's like,
oh, we still have it back there.
Yeah, he's like, try this on. And I was like, all right, cool. And I did a class, and I was like, man, it's pretty cool. So I stuck with it from there. So about that 4-year absence. So most people don't know, I had an amateur MMA fight.
Really?
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of MMA classes when I was like 17 years old.
Was this with training with Paul?
Yep, I've been with Paul since I was 16 years old. So just following him around everywhere, gym to gym. And then, so I used to train with the pro guys, actually, like Ben Saunders, Julius, when I was like 17 years old. Had an amateur MMA fight. Didn't go as well as I planned. I was training maybe like twice a week leading up to this fight. I was a young, cocky kid.
Yeah.
You know, I was talented. I had talent, but I just didn't put in the hard work. So I lost by decision, and then from there, it's probably the biggest regret. I was like, man, I just never came back for 4 years after that.
So you actually would say that losing that MMA fight was a reason in you going on that 4-year hiatus?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was just embarrassed after the loss, and biggest regret of my life so far is
that's crazy.
Yeah. So
did you fight in a combat night? Like, what did you fight in?
It was so there's a little, I think they changed the name of it, a little club by Colonial. It was called Roxy at the time, Roxy Nightclub.
Oh yeah. Guilt. It's called Guilt now.
Guilt, yeah.
Yeah, I live actually close to that place.
Yeah, so I fought David Mundell. He actually had a couple fights against Mike Perry. I think he had one.
Oh, really?
So he was pretty good. and he ended up going to Bellator, I believe. So I lost the decision to him, and then from there I was just.
So you fought a guy who's in Bellator.
It was my first one and only amateur fight, and then I was like, man, I don't know if this is for me. And then I kind of just reevaluated and came back 4 years later.
Wow.
Yeah,
so you said you did wrestling in high school?
Yeah, for about 2 seasons, a year and a half, because I broke my arm in one of the seasons.
Did you do any other sports like growing up?
Not like organized, but I'd always play basketball, football with the friends. Okay. Just always being involved with some sports, baseball.
Okay, so when you got into jiu-jitsu, did that feel like a natural extension to the wrestling?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Did you have issues with being on your back?
A little bit at first, but definitely the wrestling base helped me out a lot, just the strength. So just having that foundation helped me a lot with jiu-jitsu. It was an easier transition for real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the other another detail or factoid about yourself is you're a doctor now.
Yep, doctor of
recently.
physical therapy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
When did you get into that?
So it's a 3-year postgraduate program. So 3 years, it's a doctorate program. So I would say about halfway through my undergraduate, about 2 years in, I just decided I wanted to go for it. I was looking for something in the medical field, and I didn't want to go the route of being a medical doctor. It's just a little too much work for me. After residency, all that. That's
what Javon's going through right now.
Yeah, and I give credit to him, and he's in here almost every day, and I give him the most respect because I don't know how he does it. That's crazy. He's in here all the time, and he's working 12-hour shifts 6 or 7 days a week. So it's incredible. But yeah, so I just decided to do physical therapy. It had that athletic presence in it. I can work with athletes, which is something I wanted to do. And then from there, I just decided to go for it. And then it was probably the roughest 3 years of my life through that program, yeah.
But you were training during that period?
Yes, not the first year of the program, not so much, just because it was so much work.
Yeah.
I was in school from about 8 in the morning to 6 at night, and then just going home, studying for another 5 hours. That was my day, every day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Were you were you doing any sort of exercise at this,
I would go to the gym for 20, 30 minutes, just a quick workout just to maintain, but nothing too strenuous.
So one quick thing, going back to that 4-year hiatus you mentioned, what got you back?
I don't know, man. Just something I started, even during that time, I stopped watching UFC as much, and then I just started watching more MMA, watching more BJJ, and I was like, man, I just miss it. And then one day I hit up Paul, and I was like, hey, Paul, is it okay if I come in for try it out again? And then I just signed up from there. And the cool thing about Paul, man, nothing changed from the time I took that 4-year absence.
Sure.
He accepted me. He's treated me the same way as before I left, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you remember that story I said about you coming in and?
Oh, I remember it exactly.
So was that your first time back?
No, because I've been back.
Oh, you had been back training without the gi. That was like one of your first classes with the gi.
Yeah, I was already back for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd been grappling, but you just hadn't done it in the gi.
Just no gi, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people didn't know me because, there is a big separation, I think, here between a lot of no-gi guys and gi. Well, back then there was. There were strictly no-gi guys that didn't do a lot of gi. So no one really knew me when I came to the gi class. So
everyone was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then I had the white belt.
Don't kill him.
And everyone's like, man, what is going on here? It's so funny.
He's trained before.
Yeah. Every time I finish a roll, they're like, how long you been training for? I was like, man, about 5 years. Don't let the belt fool you. So most people don't know I had that MMA fight though.
So were you also training Muay Thai back in the day then?
Yeah, Muay Thai, MMA sparring, everything.
And
I was even doing Muay Thai up until I started putting on the gi.
And do you have any interest in going back to doing the Muay Thai?
I just don't think I have enough time because I love grappling. So, I would have to take away some of that grappling time to do Muay Thai. And it's hard to commit to that right now.
Yeah, I get that. Dang, man.
Definitely, yeah.
So what have you seen? Have you seen any changes over the years? I guess especially you have even though, like you said, you weren't necessarily a fan of that decision, you have this luxury of seeing the gym and then being away from it and then going back into it 4 years later. Did you notice any changes between those 4 years? Obviously, I'm sure the faces changed to some degree.
Definitely.
But in terms of how classes were structured, what Paul was doing, did you notice any changes there?
Obviously, one big thing that's helped out is the size of the gym.
Yeah.
Because when I left, we were at Goldenrod and Colonial, and it was.
Isn't that it was next to a Verizon store or something?
I believe so. It's
like a little strip mall.
Now it's like a little fish market or something.
Yeah.
And that place was pretty small, so it was like a little strip. You had bags on the mat and everything, so it was pretty small. And then the structure of the class, I wouldn't say it's changed too much. Obviously Paul's learned. I think Paul has introduced a lot of techniques because when I was over there and I came back, I was like, man, what is all this new leg lock stuff? Deep half, everything. It was all new to me when I came back. Yeah. So I think I was just, I don't know, as a kid, I was just sticking to the basics and not really expanding my knowledge in the game. And when I came back.
And also you were probably, were you looking at it from the perspective of wanting to do MMA too?
Yeah.
all the time? Okay, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
when you're doing grappling with strikes, that changes.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
That changes the whole dynamic.
definitely.
Dang, man.
Yep.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That you had.
It's just like a.
So Javon. That's when I want to talk to Javon. He's had professional
Yeah,
fights
I heard.
too.
Yeah. I never really got into it with him though. They never really.
I know
asked
there are a
him
lot
about
of these people that's like, I want to just talk to some of these people.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, you did what when you were younger? Wait, what?
But I usually don't talk about it. I mean, if someone asks me about it, I'll bring it up. But
Okay.
yeah.
So where did you grow up?
So I was born in Dallas.
Okay.
And I moved here in Orlando in 2001. Been here since.
So how are you a Rams fan instead of a Cowboys fan?
I don't know. Just as a kid. I was like 5 years old. I was playing Madden with my brother. I picked the team. I was like, all right, this team's good. You know, they had the highest overall ranking.
Oh, that was the greatest show on turf.
Yep,
you had
greatest show on
Warner
turf.
and
Yep.
Terry Holt and all these
Isaac Bruce.
Yeah.
So I just became
Marshall
a Rams fan.
Faulk.
My teams are all over the place. Yeah. And then I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan in basketball.
Okay.
So I mean, there's a Dallas roots right there.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's just playing Madden. Just pick the team.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So then you moved
Stuck with
here, and have you traveled much, like outside of the state?
No, not too much.
No.
No.
Abroad?
Nope, never been out of the country really.
Really?
Except on cruises, you know, like
Okay.
Cozumel, Mexico, but never
That's
been
a
out
very
of the country.
Floridian thing. I feel like.
Yeah,
It's like, have you
definitely.
been out of the country? I've been
Just on
I've been to Bermuda.
Yeah,
I've been to the Bahamas.
That doesn't count. Yeah,
It's like,
I don't consider that traveling out of the country.
I got a passport.
Yeah, but now I'm out of school. I would like to start traveling more,
Mm-hmm.
exploring. Because I mean, that took a big part of my life, just going through school the entire time.
Oh, for sure.
'Cause I didn't take any breaks. I went straight from high school straight to undergraduate.
And right into grad school.
Yeah, right into grad school.
Yeah, I had
so-
like a 7-year break between undergrad and grad
Yeah,
school.
so I mean, there's no time for anything really. It's just been all school since then.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that. So what? How do you view jiu-jitsu now? Like, what do you have? Like any goals? Like what?
I'm trying to get more technical.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to stop relying on my strength as much, start relying more on technique.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm getting more technical on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that's
I know you're playing quarter guard and going and trying to go into deep
yeah.
half and stuff. I'm like, what
trying
is
new
this?
things. Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna rely on my strength somewhat, but I'm trying to shift it to more technique.
I know you're not trying to like double underpass me or like,
No, yeah, yeah,
stack
yeah,
pass
that
me.
used to be my go-to.
Just stack pass and go. Stack pass, repeat. Stack pass.
I haven't done it in a while.
I know. What is this guy? He's pulling guard.
Yeah, and I'm trying to start to just learn more details about moves and everything. Because I'm more like, if you ask me to break down a move, I'll have trouble doing it. But if I can do it on the mat, I think it's just I do it more out of instinct rather than breaking it down part by part.
Well, also
That's the
you've
thing.
done it from a younger age, so I feel like when
Yeah,
you
so
learn
there's
things at
that-
a younger age,
that muscle
you
memory.
pick it up without understanding
Exactly, yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
like how you went from point A, or you can't explain it. Like
Yeah,
we like to
exactly.
talk about Zach, because like Zach's a great grappler, but everyone, I mean, Paul say like if you ask him what he's doing, he'll have a hard time telling you what he's doing. He just does it. You
Yeah,
know what I
exactly.
mean?
Like
He just-
people after class, they'll be like, "Hey, how'd you do this move?" I was like, "I don't even know what move you're talking about." I just do it. Yeah, just go
That's-
for it. Yeah, it's not really. It's just more like muscle memory, instinct, I guess, when I'm
Okay.
grappling. But I'm trying to change that. Trying to be more technical. Really pay attention to exactly.
Well, okay,
I'm
so what
doing.
does more technical mean to you? Like I've heard that like people say, "Oh, you don't want to say someone's strong because that's like almost like a backhanded slight."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
"Oh, you're just physically gifted. You don't
Yeah.
really know jiu-jitsu." In your mind, what does it mean to be technical?
I mean, in the past, I would just like power my way out of submissions a lot of times. If someone's taught me, kind of just brush them off. I'm trying to use more sweeps, more technical, get into more technical positions, escapes, not just trying to power my way out through everything. I mean,
So when you say you were powering out, were you just like bridging on people a lot? Like what's power out?
yeah, like bridging, just pretty much just trying to shrug people off of me.
Okay.
And then when going for escapes, just trying to raise up, which is still a technique, but I'm trying to be a little more specific when I'm doing things.
Gotcha. A guy like Chris would say, "But you're using your attributes. You have to use your attributes."
There we go. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you have the speed, if you have the strength, power, use it. I mean, don't
absolutely.
shy away from it. But it doesn't hurt to be more technical, though.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
what was it when you finally put the gi on? What did you notice being such an extensive no-gi grappler? What were your impressions like switching to the gi?
The grips?
The
People
grip.
grabbing onto me and I can't move. I was like, man, And I had no clue how to break them at first.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, man, I can't move. I'm wasting so much energy trying to get these grips off, and I would fatigue after a minute or two.
Really?
Yeah, because I would have good cardio, no gi, and I come to gi, and I'm dead at the end of a round. Just wasting energy.
We talked about that last night. It's like, you asked me, do you get more...
I still have problems with my cardio and gi compared to no gi.
Really? That's crazy.
I think because I'm just wasting energy.
Resisting grips?
Resisting grips, yeah, definitely.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, would you say you were just... Because I feel like you don't grapple. I don't consider you someone that grapples in the gi. Like, I say that about people that are like... They're wearing a gi, but they don't... I feel like they don't do really anything different.
Yeah.
You know? I don't feel that with you. So when did you start, like, playing the grips? Like, that just came over time? Like,
yeah, it came over time. I had to get out of the no-gi mindset and start using grips, going for gi chokes. Mm-hmm. And yeah, because, I mean, that took a little time to get used to. Because it was my natural tendency to just...
Go for rear naked.
Yeah, go for rear naked. It's just the basic no-gi moves.
Okay.
So it took some time. And I've made it an emphasis to try and use more gi chokes the past month I've been trying. It's like my goal just to use more grips and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you grapple, like, because Chris and I were talking about this, and that's actually going to drop today, where we talk about like how hard everyone goes, and so I like watched class like a couple weeks ago. I was watching people grapple, and I was like, God damn, everyone's going so hard.
Yeah.
So I was kind of wondering, like, when you go into a class, in particular when you're rolling in a class, let's say not a randori, what's going through your mind? Like, what is your goal? Is your goal just to roll? Is your goal to practice a certain thing? Like, what's your approach mentally when you get on the mats? And then also, the second part of that is like, how do you ration out your effort level, you know?
Okay. So, I mean, I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to practice, polish a move in class. And I'm always trying to do it. I don't necessarily get it every time, but when we do the sparring after learning a technique, I'm always trying to act it out, trying to perform it. But
so you try to funnel to that if you can.
Yeah, but it's hard to get because, everyone knows what you're going for.
Sure.
Everyone just learned how to defend it.
Well, that was like me the other day. I was like, I want my money back, Paul, because I tried that
exactly.
deep half this game.
And I knew exactly what you're doing there. So, yeah,
I was like, damn it.
So I think you gotta use out those moves a couple months later once it leaves people's minds a little bit.
Victor and I have the same theory. It's like you'll have success
a
couple months later when people are defending the new thing. So if you did X guard and then 2 months later you're doing butterfly, do the X guard stuff and everyone's defending butterfly.
Yeah, you got to keep it stored in there and then use it a couple months later. Definitely. And then as far as, BJJ is one of my main forms of fitness, conditioning, strength. So I'm always trying to roll hard, but at the same time, I'm not trying to be like a spaz, Mm-hmm. Hopefully I don't feel like that. Hopefully people don't have that opinion.
No, you don't. You don't come up
I try to keep high intensity, but still remain, fluid, not going, not putting myself at injury risk or my partner. So I just try to keep a high tempo because that is my main form of conditioning. And I do want to, those 20 minutes that we roll at the end of class, I really want to feel like I put in full effort there. So that's why I'm always trying to maintain high intensity when I'm rolling.
Now, do you do any sort of conditioning outside of class, whether it's cardio or strength based?
I do a little bit of strength training, not so much cardio though. Like I'll go for a jog every now and then, but nothing.
Do you think strength training helps protect you against injury in jiu-jitsu?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. You get that stabilization at the knee, shoulder, the added stability. That's one of the biggest things. I think more people should be doing strength training, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Since you have the background that you do, and you also do jiu-jitsu, is there anything that scares you about jiu-jitsu or any positions that scare you in jiu-jitsu, knowing what you know from the physical education side? Yeah,
definitely. Since beginning physical therapy school, I've been a lot more paranoid to injuries, such as heel hooks. Those things scare me to death.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just going to attack heel hooks on you. Yeah. I'm just going to go heel hooks. I'll get the early tap.
Because I've seen because you're likely, if you don't tap, you're likely to get an ACL tear with that. And I've seen the process of ACL. I mean, I've treated ACL patients. The road to recovery, it's not something I want to deal with. It's a tough injury rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long battle, and then there's a big psychological component to that as well. Just getting back to your sport. I know Tommy had his ACL, and it's a big battle to get back in here just psychologically,
Sure.
and be able to roll again. So I've definitely become more paranoid to injuries, even like doing takedowns and stuff. I'm always worried. I was talking about it yesterday.
You're looking at the mats. You're like, those mats are slippery.
I was like, that one's a little slippery. I'm scared here. I'm going to take it down to the ground. And then it's also helped like my training outside of jiu-jitsu, like focusing on my areas of weakness. So as a physical therapist, you have to identify strengths, weaknesses that are leading to injury. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing. So here, I think a lot of people just do like general training. They don't really fine tune on things. So if flexibility is limiting your game, work on flexibility.
Okay.
Just don't do it for the sake of being more flexible, I believe, though.
Okay.
Because I have zero flexibility. Zero. But it doesn't interfere with me on a daily basis. My game in BJJ doesn't require much flexibility.
You're not inverting or doing barrel bolos
so,
or anything.
so that's not going to be a priority in my training.
Sure.
I'm not going to be working on that. But if you're getting out muscled, if you need more strength, work on that strength training. If you're getting out techniqued, work on more technique. If you do inversion, all that stuff, work on flexibility. So I think you need to fine tune, look at your strengths, weaknesses, what you need to work on, and then really hammer that area down.
Okay.
It's like it's same concept kind of. Looking at the body, doing an analysis, kind of see what areas need to be improved upon, and really focusing your training on that certain aspect.
Now, what about the sticky topic of like nutrition? How do you approach your nutrition?
I mean, it's one thing I know I do is I undereat. I think I underestimate how many calories I need.
So you're at a caloric deficit, you think?
Yes, I believe so. And I've been trying to address that, but eating more.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, throughout the day, I work 8-9 hour shifts, just constantly treating patients. And we don't have time to be snacking around at work. So I can go 4 or 5 hours without eating any food. And I think that leads to my calorie deficit. And I feel it when I undereat, I underperform in here, definitely.
Really?
Yeah. I feel more fatigued, just don't have the energy. So I definitely need to eat more. And then I'm not too strict with my diet. I mean, I try to eat healthy for the most part, but I'm not counting anything. I'm not being too specific with what I'm eating. As long as I'm eating enough, that's really
So you typically come in here after work around 6 or 7 and train. Have you eaten anything before you come on the mats?
Sometimes I'll have a little snack. Like I'll pack like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for my ride over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for a lot of times, like you've gone most of the day eating very little.
Yeah, it would be like since 12 o'clock I'll be. Yeah, because I have my lunch at 12.
Do you feel like you perform better? Like, what would they call they talk about like what, starved cardio or fasted cardio and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you feel better rolling in a fasted state, so to speak?
No.
So you need something.
I need some calories.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
And how far back do you have to eat before like an hour and a half, 2 hours?
No, I mean, it depends on the size of the meal, of course. Bigger meal, of course, I'm going to want that time. But if I'm just having a snack like my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I'm fine eating it 30 minutes before training on my way home. Yeah. Doesn't really interfere with me too much. I don't feel weighed down by it or anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting. I found that interesting, though, that you go hard in jiu-jitsu for the sake of cardio reasons.
Yeah.
Just up-tempo.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's my main form of fitness, you know? Because I don't have time to be doing a lot of extra stuff outside the gym as far as conditioning. So when I come in here, I want to make sure I'm getting a good workout as well and learning techniques, of course.
Well, and for me, I find the jiu-jitsu way more fun to get tired. It's like who wants to be on a treadmill for 30 minutes? You know?
Awful.
Yeah,
it's awful. Yeah.
So being able to do something that's fun.
Yeah, you can get the same amount of reward just from doing 20 minutes of jiu-jitsu compared to 2 hours on the treadmill.
Sure.
You know, just that high intensity.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, what do you have any like crazy stories you can share?
Crazy stories
from your past?
Oh man,
that wouldn't piss off too many people.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I really don't have too many crazy stories. I'm trying to think of a couple.
You don't have like a Nick Paul story or something?
I do have a Cabrera story though.
Oh, okay. Well,
So this is from a long time ago, and he tells his story a lot too. But so we're doing MMA sparring.
so just for people who don't realize, Matt Cabrera is a guy who trains right now maybe once a month. He and Mike go back to high school.
High school, yep. So we know each other about over 10 years now.
Okay, and this guy won't shut up. Like he's a hilarious guy, and he'll talk shit the whole time, even though he doesn't train. He'll talk shit the whole time. So continue.
And he's coming for the Trash Talking Award. He's putting that out
exactly.
there. He said he's coming full force this year for the Trash Talking Award. So yeah, we're doing MMA sparring. You know, we're doing it, and then Scott Hall, the wrestler, walks into the gym. This guy,
hey yo,
he's got the toothpick in his mouth and everything.
Which gym was this?
Goldenrod in Colonial.
Oh my god.
So, and then in the middle of our sparring match, I'm throwing a punch. Cabrera just drops his hands, goes, "Oh my god, it's Scott Hall." I hit him right in the nose, shatter his nose. There's blood coming out of the nose. He runs to the bathroom. And then, man, I still can't forget that story. It's all because of Scott Hall. Just drops his hands.
He's like, oh my god. Boom.
While I'm throwing a punch, he does it too. Never seen someone excited to see Scott Hall before.
Wow. Now, I've heard this guy's really big in person.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Really, really tall.
Was he taller than you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Holy shit.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, when he was there, he was looking a little rough though.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, he was looking a little rough.
Yeah.
A little overweight.
So what was he doing in the gym?
Just checking it out, I guess. I don't know. Just he was there for at least an hour, just kind of watching,
Really?
sitting there, just watching. Yeah, with the toothpick in the mouth still.
Toothpick in the mouth.
Yeah.
Living the gimmick.
Yeah,
living the gimmick.
Taking it everywhere he goes.
He's living the gimmick.
Can't get rid of it.
Wow.
Yeah, And I mean, I don't have too many crazy stories. Nothing too crazy.
So what's your feeling on the whole belt system? Are you a belts don't matter guy? Are you the belts are something out? Like, well, what's your...
No, I definitely think belts matter though.
Okay.
I mean, as far as just showing the amount of work you put in, the consistency, you know, it's a nice reward to have. Mm-hmm. Not many people get to make it to purple, brown, black. Mm-hmm. So you really want to respect that, and then it shows how much of a commitment you're putting into the sport. But as far as like competition wise, you know, grappling, I think there's a lot of variety in blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, as far as, so they might have all the knowledge, but I think there's a variety in, like when I'm sparring with blue belts, purple belts, some guys just give me a lot more trouble compared to others. I think just because they're automatically higher doesn't, I don't want to talk bad about any belts, you know?
Yeah, but so for you is having a belt, being awarded or earning a belt, is that in your mind, how much of that is knowledge, how much of that is just time put in, and how much of that is grappling ability?
I think it depends on the person.
Okay, so you think Javon kind of said a similar thing.
Definitely on the person.
So you think you can categorize people like this is a person that's, let's say, a competitive, like they want to compete.
Definitely.
And this person is more of a knowledge-based person.
Yes, like I know Chris, he has no intention of competing really, but he's one of the most knowledgeable people in here. Mm-hmm. You ask him any technique, he'll break it down for you.
Sure.
And that makes him a black belt right there.
Mm-hmm.
He can break down anything, he can teach it. He's very detailed when he's teaching class, and most people don't have that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
And then you look at me, I'm a blue belt right now, and
sandbagger. He's a 6-year blue belt. 6 or 7 year blue belt.
6 year blue belt coming here. And then you ask me to break down stuff. I should probably be able to break down more stuff than what I'm doing now, being a 4-stripe blue belt. Mm-hmm. But then again, I think depends on the person as far as skill wise, what they can do on the mat, how they're performing. It all ties into what belt level you are, I think.
So when you started, who were some of the people that are still around that were there at the time?
So Nick Paul, let's see. I didn't know Chris at the time.
Oh, really?
I don't know if he was.
Speak of the devil,
There
and he
he
will
is.
appear.
I didn't know.
So when
Chris.
did you first meet? When did you first meet Mike? Because we're trying to when you walked in, Chris, we actually we're just trying to pinpoint Who are some of the people that are still around that were around when Mike started? And he said Nick Paul, but he said he can't think of where you were because he doesn't recall.
So I actually first met Mike when I started training with Paul again, because I had a little bit of hiatus from training with Paul.
So that's probably that time I was there.
When I went to go work for Longwood and stuff. When I came back, was it late 2016 was when I started cross training between the two gyms. Mid to late 2016, because my kid was born 2017. Jesus. I think 2016 was when I first met Mike. And I was like, and you were a white belt. Actually, you weren't even training in a gi.
Yeah, I wasn't doing gi at the time. Just no gi.
You weren't even a gi, right? So you were this little, and by little I mean gigantic, young dude who was like starting grad school or something. They were like, watch out for that guy. He's been like, don't let him fool you. He's been training since he was like 10 or something, right? And at that point, you're like 24. So that's like as more years than I've been training. And yeah, man, you were just mauling like everybody, and like you never even put in a gi on, right? And now you're in a gi, and you're mauling continually. So, hi guys, sorry about that.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out if I knew you when I was training with Paul in 2010, 2011, but I don't recall seeing you there. Yeah, Ryan Wilkerson, I knew him from back in the day.
What belt was he at the time?
See, I didn't do gi, so I didn't know. Oh. I didn't know the belt ranks really. He would do a couple no gi classes.
But did you have the shirts?
Yes.
Okay, so what shirt were they?
I had it went yellow and it went white, yellow, orange.
It was so stupid.
I think I was an
Come
orange.
closer to the mic, Chris. Don't mutter off it.
I remember, yeah.
So just let's look at the whole shirt system from just like an inventory standpoint, right? So you have to make sure to have enough shirts for everybody in every color, multiple shirts, because people don't just wear one shirt, right? Like you gotta if you're expected to wear it to class, it's a nightmare. So Mike, thinking of the shirts here, how often did you wear your shirt, your earned uniform shirt to class?
Oh man, that was a nightmare because we did have to wear it to class. I had one of them, so every day I have to go home and wash it and then dry it. And I was training no-gi several times a week, so I was like, man, this is getting rough. And then sometimes, like one time I left it here, and I know we had to wear it in class, so I just put it on real quick and then took it off when we started rolling, just to show that I had it on me. But yeah, I mean, they only gave me one shirt, and it was like a 2XL. So it was more like a night shirt. It was just.
So what was the final shirt rank that you attained?
I got I think it went white, yellow, orange.
It was. Yeah.
So
I can confirm white, yellow, orange.
Yeah, so I had an orange.
Oh, really?
So wait a minute. There's nothing above orange?
No, there is.
Orange. Yeah, from orange it went, I think, to green, blue, purple, brown, black. So it was like karate ranks basically. Yeah. So it wasn't just the 5.
Yeah, there was a lot of different.
What about the camo? Was camo in grappling, or was that just in MMA?
No. Camo was held only for instructors because.
Oh man!
It's the So what it is like, because you're a blend of all of the colors or whatever that nonsense is. It's stupid. It's like, so there. Just a little bit of background about the whole like multiple shirts and ranks and all that nonsense. Like they tried to adopt the karate system because at the time Paul was and oh god, I'm allowed to talk about this? I mean, like whatever. So Paul was kind of like business partners with like multiple people, a couple of which who are actually huge in like the MMA, or not MMA, but just traditional martial arts school consulting. And so they tried to impose this sort of like karate framework to like an MMA type system, where it's like very, very like revenue based about like all these fucking ranks and like all of this silliness. And so like, did he try that bullshit where you like you had to upgrade to like a sparring class and otherwise you could only do curriculum class with you, Mike?
No, I do not remember that.
Okay,
no.
All right. Well,
nope,
maybe that was at a different era. Yeah, so like they try to do this like nonsense like that, right? Like you pay for like regular classes. And
so on a side note, what's interesting is I got here early and I was the only one in the gym, and a dude showed up just asking about class. Actually, Mike saw the guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm behind the desk actually answering questions because why the hell not? But one of the last questions he asked was, where do the kids train? Because I think he had this image in his mind of karate. And I asked him, I was like, you think about karate? He's like, yeah. I was like, no, kids have their own kids class. We maybe have like a 17-year-old that trains with us. And he's like, yeah, 17, 16 is okay. I was like, so you're thinking about that karate thing of bowing to like 10-year-old black belts. He's like, yeah, no. I was like, we don't do that here. Don't worry. But it's funny how that I didn't really think that would be imprinted on people, but it is to some degree, that this idea that you can have a scenario in a martial art where adults are bowing to sensei 12-year-olds. Come on, Chris is searching. He's as searching, a black belt in Taekwondo.
A 3rd degree black belt.
Oh, there we go. Had to throw that in there.
It's whatever the ecosystem is, though, right? Like, I mean, if that's what just the environment is, and that's what the system is, then what's wrong with that?
I think because from a cultural perspective, it's weird for adults to be bowing to kids in our culture here in the United States.
I mean, it's kind of weird to do in any culture, realistically. But I mean, first off, I don't think it's ever really even in my traditional martial arts upbringing, I never, the expectation wasn't that you had to go bow to every black belt first or anything like that. So that's actually a little bit foreign to me. Is that what he was referring to? Like, do you have to, like, can we all bow to each other? Like, and that's not an issue. What is he? I don't understand what the question is.
There's no question. I just think that in his mind, this gentleman had this sort of notion of training with kids as an adult, and that just feeling weird. I mean, if you have a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old training with an adult, that was the first thing he said that's what he was actually keying in on. And I mentioned like, oh, the karate bowing thing. He's like, yeah. But I think for him it was kind of like, I mean, have you watched Seinfeld?
No, I'm not white.
Okay. Oh, really?
Oh, man.
Because sometimes you get white girl wasted. All right, I'm just kidding. So I would say so there's an episode of that where one of the characters goes to karate school, and he's an adult, a fully grown male, beating the shit out of all the kids. So that was kind of the joke there. So I don't know. Maybe it's something along those lines.
How old was he?
This guy here?
Yeah.
That came in?
Yeah, that came in.
I didn't ask him, but I mean, he looked like he was in his 20s.
Oh, okay.
Early 20s. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's in school, so I would say he's that age. So anyway, that's a sidetrack. But Chris, you haven't been here the whole time. So did you know that Mike had a amateur MMA fight?
I did not know that.
Well,
okay.
And did you know?
Yeah, where was it?
And did you know that it did not go his way? He lost a decision, and that was a main reason in him taking a 4-year hiatus from all martial arts.
Really? So
I knew this would get Chris. Like this triggered. Like Chris's mind is like going,
yep.
question. So go ahead, think about it, and ask your question.
So first off, you just finished school. So
yes, I did.
You're like mid-20s.
Yep, I'm 26 right now.
You're 26. You've been back now for as long as I've known you, for 3 years, so that puts you at 23. Had you just come back around the time that I met you then?
So I came back around 2015.
Okay, so just a little bit before that.
Yeah.
So you took a break from the age of like 9. So you had an amateur MMA fight at like 18 years old?
Yeah, just turned 18 when I had
the guy he lost to via decision became a Bellator fighter.
Really?
It's David Mundell. I know he fought. I think he had one amateur fight with Mike Perry, and then a pro fight with Mike Perry. So I mean,
where was this?
It was at Roxy at the Roxy.
Oh my God! You were fighting at the Roxy.
I was on the same card. Dylan fought that night, and Will Sizemore.
Was that when? That wasn't when Dylan got his eye popped out, was it?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. No.
Oh, God. That was actually in another state. Wow. So you lost the decision.
Yeah.
What weight class did you fight in?
Honestly, I don't remember. I was probably around 180. So I don't know the exact weight classes they had at the time, but I was around high 170s, low 180s.
Was this around the time Never Back Down came out? I feel a very like you were watching Karate Kid or something. You saw Never Back Down or something when they were like literally fighting in a nightclub, and you were like, that's my goal right there.
I mean, I mean, before I had the fight, I was training with Paul for about a year before that.
That's true, because you were a kid. Like,
I started training with Paul when I was around 16, 17. So I trained for about a year, and then I had my first amateur MMA fight as soon as I turned 18, pretty much.
So how did you feel about adults having to bow to you as a 17-year-old kid, orange belt? Did you like that?
Nope. I don't think anyone was bowing to me.
Wow. So So we were talking about motivation not too long ago regarding just kind of in general. It stemmed from Jovan, but what did it? I mean, it sounds like silly and cliche, but did it like mentally break you, or did you were like, fighting's not for me, or what made you take a 4-year hiatus?
Yeah, at that age, I was 17, 18, a cocky kid, thinking at the top of the rope.
You were a cocky kid?
Well, I mean, not like it's just like internally kind of. I felt like I can hang in there. I can felt good. Felt like I was gonna win easily, and I guess it did at that age. I guess it would say it mentally broke me.
Really?
Yeah, just at that age. Yeah.
So out of curiosity though, like what? I mean, like, as objectively as you can, being the person that was actually on the losing end of that fight, how did you feel that you actually did?
Not too bad. Just, I mean,
the scorecard just
first round, I got him in full mount. At the time, there was no punches to the head on the ground. I don't know if they changed that.
I think it's still that way.
Still that way? Yeah, so just body shots. So there wasn't much I can do there. And I just got tired, real tired.
Really?
Yeah, because I was training. See, this is how stupid it was. I was training maybe like 2 days a week. And then,
oh, how times have changed.
I was training 2 days a week, training for an actual fight just 2 times a week, not doing anything. I was yeah, I mean, just yeah. So I mean, it's looking back at it, it was probably a stupid decision to go through.
Scrap,
that.
bro.
Who was in your corner?
So it was Paul and Cubero.
I don't know what he was doing. Did he scream "Get her done" to you? Did he?
Honestly, man, It's like the adrenaline once you're in there, you don't hear much outside of.
This makes me wonder, since this story was so foreign to me. Like, I was blown away when he told me this. How many of these stories does Paul have where he's like, oh yeah, I was in this person's corner when they fought, and nobody knows because no one's like whispered about it?
I mean, so did you approached Paul about fighting, or was he like, hey man, you're doing pretty good, do you want to fight?
It was actually it was more of Dylan that was getting me into it. So he's the one that found me the fight, kind of encouraged me to take that first fight.
So as being an 18-year-old kid, I mean, like, looking back at it now, you probably recognize that you were grossly undertraining for even an amateur fight.
100%.
I mean, I think people have matured overall, like coaches and everybody else. At no point did anybody look at you and say, hey man, you're hitting the mats twice a week. Perhaps you should train more.
Nope, no one told me anything. Yeah, I know, exactly.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, how much is, I mean, no one really told me anything. No one advised me to do anything different. And then I didn't know better at that age.
No,
exactly. I was just going,
I mean, you were a kid. Like, I would consider 18-year-olds.
Yeah, I just started college
now,
at the time. I just started UCF at the time. So that's a big transition going from high school to college. So, I mean, most of my time was going to schoolwork. I was just getting on the mats whenever I could, a couple times a week.
And you were the bravest person. That's incredible. So, I mean, do you have any desire to compete again like that?
In MMA?
Yeah.
No desire.
I mean, like you're this is your moneymaker now, so like
that shouldn't get punished. I mean, I got a full-time career now. That's gone out the window now.
Do you I mean, so you were doing, what classes were you doing aside from no-gi at, your
So back in the day when I was doing Muay Thai, MMA sparring. So I actually went to several pro MMA sparrings too, with like Julian, Ben Saunders.
Oh, how'd that work out?
Jose Figueroa. I got my ass kicked every time. Yeah. They're probably, man, who's this 17-year-old kid in here? And then, I got my ass kicked.
Did you have did you get into any fights or scraps like in school or growing up or at UCF?
No, never.
He doesn't.
I'm probably.
I don't know.
He doesn't strike me.
I'm probably the least confrontational person out there.
You smile more than me. Which
I'm always smiling. Yeah, minimal fights and arguments.
That's so interesting. But you took the plunge though. Like that's awesome. But you were doing everything. So when you got on the mats twice a week, you were hitting it like 3 hours.
Yeah, I was doing multiple classes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's the only time I had. I mean, in school, and then at the time I was going back and forth between the Winter Springs location and then Golden.
Oh my God, you were at Winter Springs?
Yeah, I was actually at Dean and University when I first started.
Were you really?
Yeah. So I think it was only open for a couple months, and then we so I was towards the end of the.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep. So you are old school.
My very first class, I went in for the trial, and it was Dylan there. I guess Paul was out. Paul was cornering Ben Saunders somewhere.
Wow.
For UFC. So it was Dylan that taught me my first class.
This is a blue belt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having sparred with Ben Saunders.
So my very first day training, it was no-gi in the morning. I was like, man, this is fun. So I went back for a bag and pad at night. And that one killed me. That exhausted me. So I did, and it was Dylan that was running everything at that time because Paul was out of town.
Once Mike gets promoted to purple, all the blue belts will take a sigh and be like, "Oh, thank God, the levels dropped a little bit in terms of blue belts."
He's like the Nicky Rod of like our gym here. He's like, oh, the dust the blue belt guy. And
then also,
go ahead.
No, and I would argue he knows more technique than Nicky Rod, though.
Well, yeah,
and then also they
club people.
They had the amateur MMA program back then too.
Wait, what?
Yep, on Saturdays there would be an amateur MMA. It's like 2-hour training.
Who ran this?
Paul would run it.
What? Oh man, so it
was like hell. A lot of us, like Will Sizemore, Dylan was in there. All basically everyone younger age trying to start a career, pretty much just in the amateur. So that was every Saturday.
That's pretty. I mean, so okay, that was
cool.
also before you were doing just the twice a week thing, trying to train for a fight. But so you had a good idea of what to kind of expect going into the fight?
I did, yeah. We would do sparring in there and everything. So I kind of had an idea. The one thing that threw me off in the fight was the cage. Never been in a cage in my life. Never did any training inside a cage.
Did you do like wall work?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, but just like not as much free space to move.
Right, yeah.
And that was a big difference, definitely.
Oh, wow. So you're a... What is your official title? You're a physical therapist? A doctor of physical therapy?
Yeah, it's called Doctor of Physical Therapy.
Mike, do you watch anime?
No, I do not.
What the hell?
I know. Sorry to let you down there. I do
Mike,
not.
I thought we had a nerd connection. So there's one of my favorite, actually the only anime I've ever watched all the way through is something called Grappler Baki. And it's awesome. And each guy he has to fight has like a shtick. And they're all these sort of like different archetypes. One of the first ones he has to fight is he's actually a doctor. He's a surgeon.
Yeah.
So because he knows that, what better way to learn the human body is to reverse the idea of fixing it. So you as a doctor of physical therapy having to know how to fix things, do you feel as though you're I have an edge on the mat? No, I can break this guy in ways that he doesn't even know.
No, it doesn't help me much in that aspect.
Does it really not?
No, not really. I mean, it doesn't change anything.
I mean, have you seen Lachlan Giles bring out his knee model? He's to do a proper heel hook, you want to basically achieve these angles so you can rip the tendons perfectly.
I've never seen that. That'd be interesting to see. That I'd like to watch that. Yeah.
You're like a black belt. You don't even know it. If you just apply everything that you learned in med school, basically, and just in reverse.
There it is.
You're a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
I mean, I was telling Noah earlier, I definitely became more paranoid with injuries and stuff, like heel hooks. Definitely a lot more scared of those since beginning physical therapy school.
So I think you could also have this moniker of not only knowing how to do the most damage to people's ligaments, but you could also do it in such a way that it lends itself to the cleanest rip or the cleanest tear. That's right. Just like
efficient.
Yeah, just like stand-up guys. Like I'm a good bouncer because if I put a guy down, I know where to punch him, so it doesn't look bad on them the next day. You know?
Yeah. And then they'll be my patients afterwards.
Is that something from Roadhouse?
No, that's something from Paul Rodriguez.
Really?
I swear to God.
Oh man.
He's like, I know where to punch a guy.
Jesus. But okay, so what you said heel hooks scare you as a physical therapist now. What else? Like spine lock stuff? Does that
definitely spine. Yeah. Because that's just a nagging injury that can have lasting effects. Anything in the spine, lumbar spine or cervical spine, something you really don't want to mess with there.
Okay, so you're one of the nicest people I've ever met at the gym. Do you, having that knowledge now, are you obviously you're more cognizant of it when it comes to your own body if something's happening? But if somebody does, are you less likely to do potentially devastating, injurious things to other people now?
Definitely,
because you know that too.
Yeah, I take a little more easy when going for submissions.
So you're a good person.
He's a pussy. That's what he.
Wow.
Like before, I would. I'm not gonna lie, I would get some neck cranks in there and everything. But now, if I feel like I don't have the choke and I'm cranking more in the neck, I'll just let go. I'm not gonna force it anymore.
So funny story. Just I'll keep the people nameless here. But last night, you were here, so you actually can figure out. You can figure out who this was.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was on the last roll of the day. I was like, I'll do one more roll. So this is my first day back from an extensive vacation. I'm doing no gi. Feeling good to be doing no gi and slipping around and stuff. And I'm just kind of chilling, doing my thing, and I get cross-faced super hard. But not a cross-face to move me, like a cross-face. It felt like a cross-face to a submission. I'm saying like gable grip across my cheekbone, just twisting my neck maybe like 90 at a 90-degree angle. And then it gets released. And I'm thinking, the person realized, this isn't a submission, whatever. And he readjusts his grip and then proceeds to start squeezing again. And of course, I look up at the clock and there's maybe like 30 seconds left. So I don't even have time to like get angry and like do something. So I just kind of chill and then I walk over. I'm like, my neck's pretty tight. But thankfully my neck's okay. The neck bridges I've done have helped. But yeah, that was...
Neck bridges?
Ah.
Well, no, I do neck bridges like when I warm up.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't do that after.
I thought we talked about Pavel.
Oh, yeah.
How he hates neck bridging.
Well, I like them for the grappling.
But
so yeah, the whole. It is interesting. Like, what's the? Do you have like a pet peeve? Like, if someone does something to you, I've never seen you lose it on the mat. Now, granted, as from a grappling perspective, you're a good grappler, so it's going to be. You're less likely to be in a bad situation, especially since you're on top. Although now you're playing bottom.
Yeah, I am.
And now you're going to start sacrificing your body a little more.
A little bit more there.
But have you like encountered a situation like I fucking hate it when people do this sort of thing?
One thing is when people are a little too spazzy, like their elbows and stuff, just swinging their elbows back. Like in some rounds, I've gotten elbowed like in the eye 3 to 4 different times in one round. Ooh. And that kind of irks me a little bit.
I think though, because it wasn't me, right?
No, it wasn't you.
I don't do that. But I would imagine that happens because it's something that Noah and I talked about, where people freak out because of like the fight or flight. Like they don't know how to handle it, right?
Yeah.
Like I just like you don't meet force with force, right? Like because it just makes things worse. Especially if the person's beating you already anyway. Like, spazzing out isn't going to help the situation. So I wonder if, like, because, Mike, you're a fairly aggressive grappler who's pretty technical as well. Like, they just don't know how to handle that. So they freak out, they spaz out, and they just elbow you by accident. Or do you feel as though it was intentional?
No, it's definitely by accident.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely by accident. But it's just, it gets annoying when it happens. I mean, one time in a round is okay. But when it happens, like, 4 or 5 times, like, man.
All right, so what does the Sahebi do? In that case,
I crank it up a notch a little bit.
You do?
I crank it up. I go for the kill.
Actually, that reminds me. There's one other story. So I told right at the very beginning. I told a story of how we met, which was a funny
Probably
story.
in some sort of like you were on the bottom.
No, it was. I had been training.
Yeah.
I'd been training for a couple. I've been training for like a weeks, and then this guy shows up in a brand new gi and a bright white belt, and I go with him, and Paul looks at him and says, "Don't kill him." I was like, "What? I've been training." But anyway, no.
I have 2 weeks under my belt. Come now.
So I'm actually thinking of when it was the first. What was it? It was the first gauntlet that I think was done in gi that he participated in. And the gauntlet is when people up for promotion, most of these are white belts up for their blues, have to grapple for 15 minutes straight against a rotating group of upper belts.
A fresh guy.
Yeah. And I remember us in the locker room and Mike basically saying, "So what's the deal here? We just have to go a little harder."
It was my first one I've ever done, so I was like, "What do we do here?"
Just go a little harder, right? And I looked at Mike. I was like, "Yeah, just go a little harder."
I remember that clearly. Yep. Oh
And
man.
he just proceeded to like swim everybody.
Did he? So do you remember who was up for promotion then?
Honestly, if I remember properly, I think
You were one of them.
I was one of them.
Yep.
So he went up tempo with me. That was the
saying-
thing. Like I was telling him how to roll with me. I should be like,
Yes.
"No, you're supposed to be super
Yeah,
respectful.
take a little easier,
let the guy,
yeah.
let the guy up for promotion actually have some success. You want to encourage them as they get their belt." No. I said you're just supposed to go hard.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
okay.
Yeah, it was.
And then you went with me, and it's on camera.
Oh, did you have it on camera?
Well, they were recording, like people were recording the whole thing, and there were moments of I saw where I'm like, he was basically.
like you should like
It was basically me fighting out of Darce's and him just being on my back constantly.
Oh, so speaking of which, what's your favorite submission, Mike?
Oh, he just said it. The Darce.
Is it really?
Yep. That's my
It's
go-to.
actually DRC.
Darce.
The guy's name is
Darce.
DRC.
Really?
Yeah.
So when did you fall in love with said top triangle or whatever the actual technical name for it?
I don't know. Ever since I came back in 2015, it's just been my go-to move. I don't know if it's my long arms. I have the leverage to kind of get it a little easier than most people. But I'm trying to branch out and start doing more stuff now. But
it's a hell of a move.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite submission, though.
Where did you
for
learn
sure.
that? Because I've yet to see someone really actually teach the Darce here.
Well, Andre teaches it now, but obviously I learned it before that. I think it was when I came back, it was actually Matt Ferriola. If that's not, because he was actually teaching some no-gi classes when I first came back, so I might have learned some of that from him. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
'Cause, he likes the
Darce off
guillotines.
of a guillotine, yeah.
yeah.
He likes to play off the front headlocks.
Yeah, so I definitely learned some of that from him.
Did you ever meet John Sissio?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yep, back
because
in the day, yep.
he will Darce you from bottom mount. He is.
Yeah, I
like,
met him a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
He shout out to John. I wonder if he ever Darced you, and perhaps he might have added to that repertoire. Really, so Darcing, okay. What do you? I can imagine a lot of people pulling half guard on you, thinking they have the underhook, and you just Darcing the fuck out of them.
That's the setup every time.
I can already see this happening.
I kind of bait him into it, and I'll just clamp down on that arm and go for it every time.
So I'm proud to say I haven't been Darced by Mike in a while now.
It's been a while,
but I get guillotined now. So I don't know if I've traded one for the other or what.
I
would say it's evolved.
Yeah, because I'm starting to transition back from the Darce guillotine back to the Darce, trying to work on changing positions from there. So I think I'm starting to get more guillotines now because people are starting to defend the Darce a little better.
So what do you? All right. So you said you're starting to play more bottom. What are you looking to do? What are you focusing on first?
So right now I've been doing a lot of quarter guard and deep half. That's been my go-to
Deep half?
lately. Yeah, deep half. Yep.
I wonder if that is that due to your. Did you ever wrestle?
Yeah, I did. In high school, I did about a year and a half. So I didn't finish my senior year because I broke my wrist the last year, so I didn't get to finish the season. But I did a year and a half.
Which is all you really need to learn Pohada.
Now, I wouldn't say I'm a good offensive wrestler. Like I'm still not that good at takedowns, but it's definitely helped my defense, sprawling, building a base, and just keeping that.
You have a pretty you have a pretty annoying sprawl. Like I'm not gonna lie.
But I don't go for a lot of takedowns though. I mean, I still don't feel confident in my takedown
you
game.
look at the mat, you're like, I don't want to do takedowns on these slippery ass mats.
Yep. Worried about that knee injury.
Well, I mean, like a wrestling mat is a lot squishier than a tatami mat too. Like these,
and it's a roll too, so you don't have gaps.
Yeah, it's just
true,
one giant roll. Yep, no gaps in between.
Well, you don't like turning your toe 90 degrees to your foot. New Year's resolution, Mike? It's coming up.
So I was telling Noah, I'm trying to get more technical. I'm trying to get more technical. I mean,
you're not technical. That's
But I'm trying to fine tune it where I can actually break down what I'm doing. Because I'm just going off. Whenever I roll, I'm just going off of instinct, pretty much. Like I know what I'm doing, but I can't. Like if someone were to ask me, "What'd you do here?" I couldn't tell them.
Really?
So I'm trying to really break down my game and fine tune everything.
So how do you think you were learning things before if you weren't like conceptualizing them step by step?
Basically, just
you think muscle memory?
Yeah, that's what I would go with.
I mean, like is that sort of like the whole like kind of Ben Askren had talked about that in one of his interviews, how like he feels as though like jiu-jitsu people are doing it all wrong, where he just he talked about like just wrestlers just drill, and I think that does build that muscle memory, right? Where you just you act purely on instinct and you don't necessarily know why. I mean, like, is that necessarily wrong though? Because wrestlers are very good at what they do. Do you think that it'll make you a better grappler?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, because like when I'm rolling, I'm not like overthinking anything really. I'm just going right into the moves, just using my instinct, muscle memory. I think that helps definitely with just reaction time, not overthinking, not being hesitant with things as well.
Meanwhile, I'm that fucking like meme gif from The Hangover where I'm seeing all the equations. I'm holding grips. I'm like, what do I do now? I'm like, what are all the parameters? What are all the parameters? Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like and that's where is that sort of like Bruce Lee talks about, like if you're completely unscientific about things, then you're just like this chaos, right? And then if you overthink things, then you become this like robot, and you sort of like paralyze yourself by paralysis by analysis, whatever the case is.
There it is. Yep.
There we go. Like then, but so where do you feel you need to? Because you are a very high-paced grappler too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that is based on instinct. So there's not a lot of like thinking time.
Yeah, not a lot of thinking time. Definitely, yeah. It's just I'm going from one thing after the other. Not really.
So are you gonna sort of slow your game down though?
No, I don't think so. I mean, no. I mean, it's just natural tendency to keep a high pace. I was telling Noah, like, BJJ is one of my main forms of conditioning and fitness. So when I come in here, I like to keep a high pace, make sure I'm getting a good workout because I don't have time to do other things when I get out of the gym. So that's one of the reasons why I try to keep that high pace always.
Do you lift weights and stuff outside of the gym? Aside from jiu-jitsu?
Not consistently.
Really?
Yeah.
You
I'm
don't? Like ever?
I mean, I'll do some stuff, but I'm not consistent with weights. Like when you put me on a bench press, I could probably barely bench press 200 right now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I'm not very strong when it comes to lifting weights.
So do you subscribe to the sort of like, there's like this video of Marcelo Garcia kind of talking about his idea of strength and conditioning, and how he's like, he's like more time that's taken away from jiu-jitsu to do things like weightlifting, whatever, is like, the guns and butter, right? Like you can't, like they're mutually exclusive of one another.
Guns and butter?
Yeah, like the whole economic term. Like as a nation, you can either like the production of guns is mutually exclusive to the production of butter, and if you have to allocate resources to one, it definitely takes away from the other. So like you have to choose between guns and butter. Have you never heard that before?
I've never heard that before.
Okay, so like he feels as though there's no carryover from one to the other, and that your time is better spent doing jiu-jitsu. So if you want to get better conditioning and strength for jiu-jitsu, you just do jiu-jitsu harder and faster.
Yeah.
Instead of really, that's your
I mean, of course I lift weights, but yeah, nothing consistent. And that is more of my thought process. Definitely try to keep high intensity. But I was telling Noah earlier, if strength is a weakness of yours, work on it. So if you're getting, if you can't do techniques because other guys out you don't have enough strength to pull them off, or someone's out muscling you. They'll work on your weakness.
So what do you do if you deal with Jeremiah then?
Man, so I rolled with them last week. Actually, this week, it was on Tuesday. He had a little open mat thing. Man, that guy's strong. Strongest guy.
Understatement of the year.
Yep.
Oh, you went to the 4 p.m.
Yeah, I did.
Iron Light
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and it was no gi.
You know, do you know what his overhead press 1 rep max is?
What is it?
Like it's
lot.
like 350.
Man, that is insane. That's more than what people squat.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. It's like, that's more than like the average person like deadlifts.
That is crazy.
You know, like,
yeah, he's crazy strength.
yeah,
I
he
felt
probably has the best control of
Yeah,
anybody
I
because
couldn't
of
move.
that, right? Like he can calibrate it.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't move against him. And I usually don't have that problem with most people, and I was stuck.
Final thoughts, Mike. What are your goals for today, going into class?
Well, Chris, what are we learning today?
I'm going to continue with Tommy since he's the master of knee slice. Gonna continue working on that knee slice stuff that we've been working on the daytime class. I've just assumed it's the first part of the curriculum for the new year, so I've been rolling with it, and I've chatted with some people about class structure and whatnot, and I think consistency is best for people to kind of work on things for a little bit more than just a week at a time. So we're gonna work on some more knee slices, variations off of it.
Nice.
So to make you an even more dangerous grappler, Mike. Like
I like the sound of that.
because to work on your unending top pressure.
I like it. So yep. So I mean, basically, yep. So what time is it right now?
We got about 12.
We got 12 minutes.
12 minutes,
We're gonna
all right.
wrap it up. But
So
Mike, thank you. Thanks for sharing, dude. I didn't know 70% of the stuff you told us.
I know. So it was cool to be on here, be able to share some knowledge, get some facts
Now, are you
about my
gonna
past.
actually listen to this, or are you one of those people that doesn't like the sound of their own voice?
I probably won't listen to it.
Dude, what?
Yeah, no.
I
I don't listen to these.
I've listened to other episodes. I'm skipping this one.
You're gonna
I
say
hate hearing my own voice.
I hate it.
Like,
It's
did you hear,
awful.
about how Kylo Ren was on Fresh Air with Terry Gross on NPR, and so like he
the
doesn't like
character Kylo Ren or the
like,
actor,
whatever his name is.
Mini Driver or whatever.
Yeah,
It's Adam Driver. Yeah, not Mini Driver.
So like they started playing a clip from Star Wars or from one of the shows he's on, and he got up and walked away like in the middle of the interview because he can't listen to himself on tape. So like if I play your interview during class over this loudspeaker, Mike, will you just get up and walk away?
Yep, most likely.
right, so that's what we're gonna-
I'll be headed out the I'll be headed out the
if
front
I'm
doors.
grappling with him, let's
be
just
like-
play it. Let's play it loud.
We have to play like our
I mean, that's a verbal tap, Mike.
Yeah,
That's a verbal.
I'll be headed
tap.
out the front doors.
What's our code word when we're in danger from Mike? Our safety word.
Good question. I don't know. I mean, he's not.
Well, you can't give it away. I'm right here.
I know. Can't.
Yeah,
give
I
it
know,
away.
yeah.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you, and I look forward to rolling with you on the
Thanks
mat.
for having me on here. Appreciate it.
See ya.